Democracy in the United States is dying. Trump is known to admire dictators and is aggressively trying to turn the U.S. into a failed democracy, just like they did in their countries. This video series shares 40 examples of how the United States in the early 21st century is looking like Germany in the early 20th century in some concerning ways. Trump appears to be copying Hitler's playbook, and MAGA is concerningly similar to the early days of the Nazi Party. The first video in this series sets out some important context. The qualifiers it includes, shown here, apply to all of the videos in the series. And now, Part 3, a comparison of how each movement and leader gain public interest. Number 13. Both leaders used blatant lies and pervasive propaganda to manipulate and control the people. Trump and MAGA politicians completely destroy the fabric of truth. That's what Hitler and the Nazis did too. This is intentional. It's to fabricate an alternative reality from alternative facts so that no one can figure out what's even actually true anymore versus what's just noise. That then gives the leaders freedom to craft the narrative however they want. Hitler and Trump both thought their supporters were not very smart. Hitler said in Mein Kampf about talking to a crowd of supporters to treat them like emotional simpletons with feeble understanding and short memories. Appeal to their emotions, rile up their personal gripes, keep the message simple, and repeat it often. This is where the idea of keep it short, repeat it often comes from. Hitler also used the big lie. He said, again in Mein Kampf, that in the big lie, there is always a certain force of credibility because normal people themselves often tell small lies in small matters, but would be ashamed to resort to large-scale falsehoods. But Hitler and Trump don't have any shame, and they use the big lie all the time. Accusation in a mirror is another Nazi tactic. You might have heard this said as, every accusation is a confession, or the call is coming from inside the house. This is to do something bad and then blame it on the other party. You know, like Trump accusing Kamala Harris of paying people to attend her rallies, while Elon Musk was literally offering million-dollar checks to people to attend Trump's rallies. That's accusation in a mirror. A false flag event is another type of accusation in a mirror. Trump has adopted Hitler's use of the big lie, accusation in a mirror, and other tactics from the Nazi propaganda machine. And they work just as well today as they did nearly 100 years ago. Just being in a constant environment of lies makes the extremeness of their ideals grow more acceptable. It's hard to continuously reset oneself to what's actually true. As Hitler and the Nazis grew more powerful, the propaganda they published became more believed. The same thing happens with Trump and MAGA. This is called shifting the Overton window. The Overton window is the frame of behaviors that are considered acceptable by the general public. Everyone, MAGA included, would do better to get their news from a variety of sources, left, right, local, and foreign, and then decide what's the common truth between them. But as I've noted, thinking for oneself is strongly discouraged by MAGA. Number 14. Both leaders criticized the leftist government before them as the source of all the nation's problems. Hitler did this with the Weimar Republic. He blamed the loss of World War I and the associated loss of status for Germany and the economic struggles that followed on the leftists, communists, and foreigners, as I've explained. Germany was used to having an autocratic leader. They had just had one, and had always had one, as far as anyone alive remembered. As it was presented to them, it was actually the liberal Weimar Republic that was weird, with its democracy and improvements in equal rights, and in conducting civilized, weak foreign relations. Trump did it with the Obama and Biden administrations. Trump claimed that Obama wasn't really an American, what became known as the birther conspiracy theory. And to hear Trump tell it, every problem the U.S. people have ever faced is because of Biden's failure as a president. A lot of people just accept what they're told without much question. And a huge block of that information is coming from right-wing news outlets created explicitly for the purpose of spreading right-wing propaganda. Number 15. Both movements were convinced that the country's return to greatness required leadership that only the leader could provide. In the 1920s, the German economy was in bad shape, though it was steadily improving under the Weimar Republic. That is, until the Great Depression set in. Hitler had been endlessly campaigning that Germany was weak and in disrepair with the leftists running it. So, of course, when he got his chance, he claimed that all the downfall was due to the left. The only solution, as it was presented, was a complete government overhaul and a new direction led by Hitler's strong and unique leadership. In the 2020s, the U.S. economy was in bad shape. Trump had been endlessly campaigning that America was weak and in disrepair with the leftists running it. So, of course, when he got his chance, he claimed that all the downfall was due to the left. The only solution, as it was presented, was a complete government overhaul and a new direction led by Trump's strong and unique leadership. Number 16. Both leaders are the center of a cult of personality that presents them as larger than life while ignoring glaring shortcomings. Cults of personality rally around a single, idealized, powerful individual that provides their followers a sense of belonging, status, and protection. Ironically, Hitler didn't possess the traits of the supposed superior race. He wasn't blonde-haired or blue-eyed. He wasn't physically fit. In fact, he's documented by his doctors as having had serious mental and physical disorders, including what modern doctors believe was either advanced stage syphilis or Parkinson's disease. And he's said to have had frequent flatulence that his cabinet leadership had to tolerate and, I suppose, ignore. Trump also has a strong cult of personality surrounding him. Despite the false image of him as an amazing businessman, the facts are that he's largely been a failure and a grifter his entire life. He got lucky with The Apprentice. That's it. And that wasn't even his success so much as the producers, who have apologized for their part in making him larger than life to promote the show, and in so doing, in creating a monster. Trump is obese, he has rosacea, and reportedly smells bad, it being described variously as a weird body odor of some sort, or a diaper that needs changing. The point here isn't to highlight people's inadequacies. Everyone has inadequacies. The point is that these leaders are made out to have no inadequacies at all, when, in fact, they have glaring inadequacies. Number 17. Neither party ever had a majority of support. Here's an interesting fact. The Nazis didn't call themselves Nazis. They preferred to call themselves National Socialists, or the NSDAP. Other people called them Nazis, though, and it wasn't a compliment back then either. The Nazis never received a majority of votes in an election. MAGA is a fairly popular movement, but not overwhelmingly popular. It's only a little more popular than the Nazis were, and for largely the same reasons. But what they both had and have was a steady undercurrent of ignorance, racism, and nationalism just waiting to be tapped and exploited. And their timing couldn't have been better. Number 18. Both movements used a struggling economy as a springboard. The Weimar Republic actually did a lot of good, despite its detractors claiming that it was the source of all evil. By the mid-1920s, the Folkish movement was losing popularity, and things were looking optimistic for Germany. That is, until the Great Depression set in. Suddenly, with the economy crashing and unemployment soaring, it appeared that Hitler, with his years of ranting, was right after all. He wasn't. Even a broken clock constantly saying the same thing is right twice a day. But the Germans, still fresh from their anger and fear, quickly became desperate, which made them open to an extreme solution. In the United States, Bill Clinton, a Democrat, was the only president for decades that had a budget that wasn't in deficit, something the Republicans, for all their talk about small government, never accomplished. Barack Obama, another Democrat, ushered in a new age of healthcare reform. It was far from perfect, but it was far better than anything before it. The United States as a nation and the lives of everyday U.S. people were improving under the liberal Biden administration by most measures. But the people didn't feel successful during the 2024 presidential campaign because food prices were still high. Economies are complicated and take time to recover properly. And price gouging by greedy corporations exploiting the opportunity didn't help. But that didn't matter to the average voter who understood none of this and was hearing Trump remind them constantly about the high price of eggs. People started listening and thinking, maybe Trump is right. He wasn't. He was the same broken clock. But the Americans were impatient, and Trump promised repeatedly to fix everything on day one. Enough people believed him that he won the presidential election. This video discussed similarities between the Nazis and MAGA in how the movement and leader gained public interest. In the next video, we'll look at how each leader exploited supporters to gain political office. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to sharpen the way you might think.